Alright, so today I'm going to work on the 4630. The hydraulic outlets on the one side are leaking, so they need rebuilt. I'm going to go ahead and do the John Deere to ISO conversion while I'm at it. John Deere sells a kit to do that with. Here's the kit, and it is part number RE206778. And this kit will work on most of your 10, 20, 30, 40, I think 50 and 55 series tractors. Check the parts books to make sure, or go to your John Deere dealer. But this kit works pretty good, and it converts it over and basically rebuilds everything, so everything's back to brand new and you end up having no leaks. So this is the side that we're going to rebuild. You can tell it's got the John Deere style outlet on it, and they've been leaking down through the bottom, so the seals in the turnbuckles get wore out, and then they start leaking by there. So the first step to doing these are you got to remove the dust cap. It's one of the hardest parts, in my opinion, to get off. On this tractor, you actually got to take this speed adjuster off, and it's hard to do. But what you do is you take a chisel and you pound it down through, and eventually you get it dented back the other way to where it'll lift the cap up out. So this is the cap. It's a dished cap that is just made to keep the dirt out. So what you do, you put it down in, and then you take a punch and you punch this down, and it kind of bellies everything. It takes some of that belly out and keeps it locked in there good and tight. So that's what we're going to work on removing here first. Okay, so there's the old one out. You can see it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it out of there, but that's the best way I've found to do it. Okay, so now there's the cap out. So the next thing is to take that snap ring off of that rod, and we'll go ahead and do that now. Next piece to come off out of there is this little spring off of the same place. Okay, so now we're ready to pull the lever down out. Now this is where, when you do this, you will get some oil. I'm not sure if I will, because the tractor's been setting all winter, but if you've ran the tractor, I'm pretty sure you'll definitely get some oil out of there, so make sure you have a pan or something ready down and underneath the tractor. So I'm getting a little bit of a drip of oil, but since it's been parked all winter, that's what you don't get that much. So here's the lever down out. Okay, next step is there's a retaining ring right inside of here, and you take it out. Okay, there's the retaining ring out. Okay, so now you're ready to pull the whole thing out. So you just come in from behind and tap it a little bit. Okay, so there's the actual coupling out, and I am getting some oil out of there. Okay, so the next step is back in would be basically the back bore. You have a set of O-rings in the very back, like back here at the back, and a set at the front. So there's an O-ring and a backing plate in there for it. So you got to make sure you put both in. The backing plates go on the outsides. I'll show you what they look like here. And so the next step to taking it apart is to get them out, get the old ones pulled out. Okay, so there's the old O-ring and the backing plate. There's what it normally looks like. It's just a double layer of curled plastic. Okay, and there's the back set out. Okay, so that's everything tore apart, and now we're ready to put the new one back in there. So we're going to clean everything out real good, make sure there's no dirt or anything left in there, make sure the O-ring grooves, all the crud's cleaned out of them, and the snap ring grooves, just so it goes back together easy, and then there's no dirt in there on any of the components. So we'll go ahead and do that as the next step. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and start putting back together. And first thing that I like to do is put the O-rings in, and I put it in the front and the back, and then we'll go ahead and put the backup rings in. So when you put these in, you should always put some oil on them just so they don't get cut or tore. Okay, there's the first one in. Now we're ready to go in with the second one. And they are the same, front and back. So we'll put some oil on that one too. Okay, now we're ready to put the backing ring in, and you do kind of gotta be careful with these because they do bend and get messed up pretty easy, and they are definitely difficult to get in. The thing with these is they always go toward the outside of the bank itself. So like the one on the outside of the tractor toward the back will go actually the farthest back from the tractor, so it'll be this and then the O-ring towards the inside. So you gotta make sure that you put them in there right. So sometimes I guess the easiest way to do it is to kind of curl them up a little bit to pull them tighter, and then just kind of work them in as best as you can. I've had trouble with it in the past, but it's just, you just gotta get it in there. Okay, so there's that one in there. You got to make sure that it's, like I said, on the right side, and make sure that it is down in the whole way in. If not, you'll have trouble getting the socket in. So just make sure it's put in. It is definitely a tight fit in there for both the O-ring and that backup ring, but it will go in. It just takes a little finesse to get it in there. Okay, and then the same thing for in the back. The easiest way is to come in actually from the back side of that. So go in around the back of it, and this goes toward the inside of the tractor. So the farthest in, it's always on the outside of the unit itself. So make sure that you put it on the right side. Okay, so there's the back one in, and again, make sure that it is on the backing ring is on the inside of the tractor. Even after you get it in, make sure it's right, because sometimes you can get on the wrong side when you're trying to finesse that in there. So next step, we're ready to put the outlet itself in. Okay, so here is the outlet, and one thing I wanted to say about this is this sliding ring here. Make sure you don't let it slide back too far, or you'll end up losing your ball bearings down inside, and then you got to be trying to find them, picking them up off the floor, or if you're like me, off the gravel floor. So just make sure you keep that slid back. That way it can't fall out. Now, so when you put these in, if you look in this hole here, there's an O-ring and a backing ring on one side and not on the other. So when you put that in, you got to make sure that the O-ring side is facing down. So why that is when you slip this rod down in, it has an O-ring and a backing ring on it. So you slip it in from the top, and then that seals the top side, and then the O-ring and the backing ring in this hole seals the bottom. And if you put it in there backwards, it's gonna leak like a sieve. I've mistakenly done that before, and it just gushes oil out. So you gotta make sure that you put it in there the right way. If not, you gotta take it all the way back to part to here to flip it around. And if you've already put in your dust cap, you got to beat it back out, and then you got to get a new one because they're destroyed till you get them out. Okay, so make sure the O-ring when you're putting it in is toward the bottom. Okay, so there's that in. One thing that I would say to do is look in from the back side and make sure that that O-ring or the backing ring did not push out when you push the outlet itself in and through. Sometimes they'll tend to catch that back and it'll wrinkle that backing plate and or the O-ring up and out. You gotta watch that you don't cut it. So I always take a look back behind and make sure that it still looks like it's intact and not hanging out anywhere. You won't be able to see it 100%, but you'll be able to tell if it caught it and pulled it out some. Okay, so we look like we're in good shape on this one. So now we're ready to put the rod down and through. Okay, so here's the rod to go in. And go ahead and put some oil on that O-ring and some on the whole shaft. That way it lubes the bottom O-ring as it's going through that. Okay, so now you're ready to go back in with the retaining ring in the front. And then make sure you're engaged the whole way after it pops in. That way it don't fall out. Okay, so we look good there. Okay, so now you're ready to put your turn lever on it, and it holds on by a little roll pin. Okay, so when you put this on, it goes this way with the slot facing upward, and then the pin goes through the hole here. So when you do that, if you remember the spring, you gotta compress it down with something, and then just get the pin started and then pound it in the rest of the way. If you had two people, the first person could push down on it and then you could actually see to line it up and then get it started. But if not, you just kind of guess where it's gonna be and get ready and just try it, and if it don't go, then retry it. So then once you do that, you're done then for that. So then you can see, you just turn it back and forth to turn it on and off. Okay, so now after that's on, you can put your dust cap back on. So then you just take a normal punch and you go right in the middle of the dome, and you just give it a little bit of a dent there. Okay, and just enough to mushroom that belly a little bit out to hold it in there tight. And then that's it. So then you're ready to do the other side. Okay, so now on to the second side. And I think I'd mentioned earlier about removing this knob, the speed control lever, to give you a little bit more room in there. Some tractors don't have these, like let's say you're doing this on a 4020, you don't have that in the way, but so you just got to hit the roll pin out and then just pull the lever itself off. Okay, so there's the lever off. So this side here is the exact same as doing the other side. So just repeat the same steps for this side and then that'll be it. Alright, so that's going to be it to this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and hopefully you learned something and or would be willing to do one of these yourself. So I thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or anything like that, leave comments below, or if you have any additional tips for anybody doing the same type of conversion or repair, go ahead and put that in the comments below too. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.